try to
You
be
gave
some-
grace. You did.
I did. I gave grace. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so very much for your patience, and welcome to our Community Engagement Committee meeting. Until we receive a quorum to approve our minutes from our October 14th meeting, we'll continue on with our meeting for the day, and then we'll circle back around that as our colleagues come in. They are coming, but you know, we live in various parts of the county and we do what we do, right? So excited to be back here, to see amazing faces in this great space. Excited about our agenda for today as well. But first up, we definitely want to welcome our Dr. Kimberly Burt, who is going to open up for us today and talk about what we love, family and community engagement, what we're here for. And so I'm excited about Dr. Burton being the chair for our district-wide Family and Community Engagement Committee. She has done some outstanding work from last year to this year. Excited about what's to come and what's new, and she's going to update us from the community perspective, as well as information on the upcoming Family and Community Engagement Summit that I understand is getting ready to be 2 full fun days. So Dr. Burton, take it away for us.
Well, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It is my pleasure to speak with you this afternoon about such an important topic. And so our district is just really fortunate to have the support of our board and the superintendent as we continue to do this very important work. So the 2026 Family and Community Engagement Summit will be on March 20th and 21st. Yes, Ms. Rice, 2 full days. That Friday just happens to be a traditional calendar work day, and so we thought we might capitalize on that and have that day, though any stakeholder can come either day. The Friday is really geared towards school staff, district staff, and our Saturday, of course, more toward our families and our communities, making it more likely or easier for them to participate on the Saturday. So we're really excited about that, and I'll break down a little bit more about that in just a bit. Prior to leading up to the summit, we have engaged as a district since October in a monthly professional learning series. So the goal there is to equip school staff and district staff with evidence-based strategies that work around family and community engagement. Before we can effectively engage families, we have to build that capacity in ourselves. So we've been fortunate to have a speaker in a professional learning series monthly leading up to our summit. So really excited about that. I'm going to come back to the family survey, if that's okay, and stay with our summit. What you see on the slide is the flyer that has been socialized. The QR code is the registration QR code and link. So I'm really, really pleased to share that on Friday we will have 16 presenters occurring across 10 different sessions and the keynote, as well as our very own Dr. Taylor's State of Schools address. On Saturday, we will have 16 presenters across 10 sessions and the keynote. And on both days, we will have a community showcase. What's a community showcase, Dr. Burton? It will include 47 representatives from Wake County Public Schools departments, community-based resources, nonprofit and some for-profit, as well as some of our other sponsors who will be there again. So that community showcase is embedded in the agenda for the day. So there will be protected time for people to visit those spaces. Oftentimes we go to conferences and things and you don't have time to visit those. So we're going to embed that in our daily schedule. So we're really excited about doing that. We already have registered more than 20 volunteers to set up, to greet attendees, and they are scheduled to begin that work on Thursday evening, so we'll be ready for Friday. As of this morning, on Friday, we have just shy of 200 families registered, including a number of kids. We have 50 community partners registered for Friday. And then we have some people who are just registering for the state of schools. And on Saturday, we have 122 adult participants registered, 82 families, and then our school teams are registered as well. So for both days, registration is just shy of about 50%, but we are on the final blitz, working with our wonderful comms team, who has a full-on comms plan to roll out the final bits and pieces that families and community need to know about the summit. For today, for example, the schedule, the session descriptions, all of that will be sent out in the district email, principal email today. On tomorrow, it will go to staff email and families emails, and on every school's website, the schedule for the summit will be posted. So we're excited about comms doing a wonderful job in supporting us with that. The theme this year is WCPS, One Neighborhood. We recognize that we have 9 different areas, but we are still one school district. And I'm probably dating myself talking about Mr. Rogers right now, but we know the value of understanding everybody, who are the people in your neighborhood. And so we're excited to bring together schools, families, and our community under one roof for 2 days to engage in effective strategies for family and community. So on the slide is the schedule for both days. Both days we will begin with a keynote speaker, and then we'll move throughout the day. On Friday, we'll conclude a little bit early for Dr. Taylor to begin his State of Schools address at 3. What is absolutely new this year, and we're so delighted to be able to have some funding and sponsorships to do this, we're including this year what we call a Scholars Pantry. What's a Scholars Pantry?
Dr. Bird, what's a scholar?
Thank you for asking, Dr. Taylor. A Scholars Pantry is going to be an entire room set up with instructional materials that families may select and take home. We will have over 1,400 items to be in this pantry, and when our families register at the door, they will get those little raffle tickets, and they'll take those to the pantry where we will have academic staff to help families select the right tools for learning at home based on their child's grade. So we're really excited about our Scholars Pantry and being able to put some tools in the hands of families that can help support learning at home. All right. This is going to just share a little sneak peek at the star of the Dr. Taylor, of course, our keynote speaker. So.
Grateful to have you here and proud of you to see how far you've come and the way you changed your life around. Can you tell us how it all started?
So I grew up in a broken home, but my mom and dad come from a broken home. It was 6 of us in that house. Nobody in my family ever finished high school. Education was never the #1 priority in my house. Survival was. And you all probably can relate to this. The common mantra in my house was, when you turn 18, you better go get a what?
A job.
A job.
Yes, sir.
So that became the focus, that became the standard. So all of my siblings dropped out of high school to pretty much meet that standard. I struggled academically growing up. I didn't didn't have the homework assistance. Nobody helped me with my report. Looked at my report card or helped me with my homework. So I struggled academically. Not only that, that led to a lot of behavioral issues. I was kicked out of 10 schools.
10 schools.
10 schools.
Thank you for watching our commercial.
That's very well done.
Is it on the web somewhere or?
Thank you. It is not yet, so maybe our comms folks can hear that, but when we asked, there were some restrictions about.
I don't know if we have the rights to share, this was only shared internally, we don't have the rights to share the video of the Jennifer Hudson clip.
Got it.
So we'd rather share that internally at the moment, so I hope you enjoyed it to that extent, but we don't want to get any copyright infringement issues sharing that externally with the public.
So with that being a very important factor, considering we're an educational institution, do we consider adjusting the video so that we could at least have a video to share? While that's very important, and in my humble opinion, I would really like to see the video out now. So that we can all share it on our social media pages. We only have just a few short weeks before, and we want to get as much publicity as we can. And in doing that, I think that video should literally be up and running now. I see my colleagues shaking our heads, so
You have to remove that clip.
We can just, and everything else.
Yeah, we get it though. Or can we even just show the part that he might be on her show and that's it? Is that still infringement? Not the conversation. I don't know how extent the copyright infringement piece goes, but
It leaves up to us, like as seen as on the Jennifer.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
we can like use his headshot or
Yeah.
maybe like clip the photo of them side by side and show
Absolutely.
them on there. Yeah, we can
I
definitely
think, what do you
find a way
guys
around
think?
Yeah, that was my
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
question.
Take
No,
that back.
no, that was my question, is if you could just say that he was on it, and then people can then independently go find it.
that. Thank you so much for your feedback.
Wonderful.
We'll get it adjusted and put it up.
It's
Thank
great, it's really great.
Yeah, it really is. And as we know, those around this table, and I'm pretty sure our other colleagues, community engagement is very important to us, and we just always want to make sure that everybody gets to be involved and that we share these particular things sooner rather than later to families so that folks can be aware. I know that Ms. Gordon and I, last year, we were really concerned about things not getting to families early. So, because we wanted to post it we just wanted to make sure Wake County was everywhere so it could be seen, right? And we know Dr. Taylor wants to be seen, sitting there talking with that great State of the Schools address that he shared last year. And doing it. So thank you so very much, comm teams, for that. Thank you so much, Ms. Burton, for what you've shared. I'm going to ask my colleagues if they have any questions. I think I have one or two, but Ms. Gordon.
Thank you. I apologize for being a little tardy. I have a baby at home with the flu. But I wanted to say thank you for this great presentation, Dr. Burton. I love the Scholars Pantry. I love that. I love that we are including that this year. I did have questions around like the registration. You noted that 200 families have registered. So I guess my question is, what makes a family? Like, are we counting each individual person as a family being represented, or are families having to like, how does registration work?
Great question. When someone goes to the QR code or the link, it asks a series of questions. One, how many adult participants?
Okay.
Then it asks how many kids. So we are planning on Saturday, there will be some interactive sessions for the adult with the child, so it was important to us to capture that. And so that's how we're teasing out that information across both days and figuring out how many people are going to attend
Okay.
both days as opposed to one.
So 200 is actually, could possibly be like 400.
Quite possibly, when
Okay.
we continue this last blitz, we are hopeful, the more the merrier, yes
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay, and then, thank you for that information. And then, I guess, can you share numbers, and I may have missed that, and I apologize if I did, but can you share numbers from last year compared to what we already have registered this year?
Generally, I did not bring that data, but what I can tell you is that after week one, when we pushed the information out initially, that week, we had over 60 registrants in 2 days. That's never happened in the previous 2 years. So we felt really encouraged this year that we were doing something differently, something right, to get more people to sign up early on. So the numbers I shared today, we do anticipate that they will grow with continued marketing and messaging.
Okay, and that's what can I have a follow-up,
okay,
please?
go ahead.
That's what I was gonna ask, what, like, learned lessons are we moving forward with this year? Like, what is it that you're saying that we're doing different, that you all are doing differently?
I think we've been a little more aggressive, we've been a little more bold in our approach. We put together a multi-week push, so every week is not the same messaging, so people don't tire of it, or they don't read it and say, oh, I've already heard that. So for example, beginning today and tomorrow, participants people will be able to see the entire session lineup with descriptions, titles, who's doing it, room numbers, all of that people will see, and that's not something that was shared last week in the messaging. So each week, we've increased something in the messaging today and tomorrow. We're also going to include that there will be a scholars pantry where families will get to take home instructional resources, and we're also going to add that we're going to serve lunch. We were very fortunate to have sponsors to donate the funding so that we could feed folks on both days. So we're just super excited. We've just been a little bit more aggressive in hitting those sponsors to try to get what we need to give our schools, our families, and our community the best that we can give them.
Anyone else?
And I missed adding this, and I'll add this, and then I'll move on. Our school teams that are signing up, each of our school teams will receive a copy of Dr. Mabry's latest book from Coram Press called Perspective, The Secret to Student Motivation and Success. So we're really excited about that. So yeah, lots of great stuff planned.
You mentioned, thank you so much, you mentioned that you were going to go back to your survey. We skipped your survey?
Yes.
And then you wanted to go back to that. I wanted to
Thank
give
you
an
for
opportunity
that.
to share.
Yes, just really quickly, the Panorama District Survey deployment is scheduled for April 6th through May 15th. As many of you may know, that is an electronic deployment of this survey. Principals and survey liaisons, that's one person for each school, will receive a training on March 25th. That training is to equip those survey liaisons to be thought partners with school leaders around how best to get our families to complete the survey. As we've done in years past, our Title I funded schools will receive paper copies of the same survey to increase our ability to hear from more family voices. And our survey liaisons in schools will also receive a toolkit to help them do this. So Panorama is creating all the messaging around what we want to say to families, how we will collect the surveys, videos, flyers, all of that support will be provided for schools in a toolkit. So we feel pretty prepared to deploy this spring survey.
Fantastic. And is this, to make sure I understand for clarity, this survey is in reference to Community Engagement Summit?
No, this is the annual family survey that the district deploys asking our families questions around, are there barriers to engagement? To what degree? So this is that big district survey. And so once we get that data, we'll be happy to come back and share that with you.
I'm really looking forward to that. Because I think we had some questions around that survey last time, and I hope that it is, I'm appreciative of how you're gathering teams and people to develop those questions so that they aren't looking with what we would desire to see, but giving people an opportunity to really express how they actually feel and what we can do better or what we're really doing really great. Thank you, Dr. Burton. We appreciate you so very much. Look forward to you coming back and sharing that information.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. So up next, we have our district programming updates with the NC Education Corps tutoring partnerships, none other than the Dr. Shanika Moore-Brown and Dr. Maria Rosa Rangel. First, we're going to have the NC Education tutoring that's going to come, and they're going to share with us what does this Corps tutoring program look like and all those great things and what you're actually doing in that. And we'll also be joined by Principal Tiffany Scott from the Bug Magnet Elementary and Principal Kendall Grigg from Baileywick Elementary, who will also share about their experience with the partnership. And then when we come back around, we'll have Dr. Maria Rosa Rangel. So welcome.
Welcome. Thank you so much for this time. And we're here to talk to you about the partnership between K-12 Academic Enhancement and the North Carolina Education Corps. And we're going to celebrate a partnership focused on literacy. Yay. Yay. Thank you. That's our cheer squad in the back. So our NCEC partnership team includes Dr. McFarland, who is the interim director for school partnerships, Dawn Holland and Jennifer Wood, learning coaches, and then Mara Omahani, who is the learning impact manager. So let's talk about some of the essential ingredients of our K-12 AE and NCEC literacy partnership. So our mission is to ensure that 100% of students are reading to learn by the end of grade 3. We have a powerful collaborative and supportive partnership, not only between K-12 AE and NCEC, but also the tutors, the teachers, the students, the families, and the principals. We know that third grade literacy is the strongest predictor of high school graduation and career opportunities and success. And so we know that a culture where every student reads at or above grade level, enjoys reading, and is confident about their reading is our aim and our North Star. So we have 14 schools. If you'd like to see the schools, they are linked there at the hyperlink. 14 principal partnerships, 14 points of contact in those schools, staff, and families. We have 44 part-time instructional specialists, also known as tutors, who work no more than 29 hours per week. We have 2 learning coaches. Of course, myself as the Senior Director of K-12 Academic Enhancement, our NCEC Interim Director, our NC Learning and Impact Manager, and most importantly, and we're very excited about this, 697 students that participate. So, tutors follow a scripted phonics program where they're focused on phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension, all aligned with the science of reading. They participate in phonemic awareness and visual drills, drill and blending. They go through a new concept, word work, connected text, and a spiral review and blended learning. This happens during the school day via a high-impact tutoring model. Each student gets at least 3 sessions per week. Each session is 30 minutes, and the ratio is 1 tutor to a maximum of 4 students. And the tutors are very relationship oriented. They are professionalized. They receive extensive professional learning and coaching, and they focus on students mastering those essential skills. We provide a depth and wealth of continuous support for these tutors as they are not required to be licensed educators, so they come from different walks of life, retirees, some who have been stay-at-home parents or guardians, and so we definitely invest a great deal of time providing the professional learning with scripted curriculum, instructional practices, science of reading, data literacy, SEL, and how to support all students. And also, of course, we give them that WCPSS policies, practices, and procedures. And then through our learning coaches, they receive one-on-one coaching, site visits, monthly PLC sessions, and office hours. And we do believe greatly that that is the secret sauce to our work, not only the partnership between NCEC and K-12 academic enhancement, but also the fact that we professionalize our tutors. We just don't have folks that come and don't get any training. We invest a great deal of human resources to ensure that our tutors are well-trained. We're now going to turn it over to Mara, who is going to show you how our students have grown.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to be here today with all of you to show you exactly that, how much growth has been demonstrated in these students. So you can see here on this slide that we have 697 students, and this is how they're represented by demographic and grade level. You can see we serve kindergarten, first, second, and third graders. And on average, students have attended about 29 sessions and completed 14 and a half hours of tutoring. We've seen that our threshold is about 30 sessions and 15 hours. So this is just this school year, so we're doing a really good job with our fidelity to model. First, we'll take a look at the composite scores. So what we do is our tutors log their sessions in our electronic data dosage tracking system called Litera, and they will report on students' attendance, students' engagement, and then the skills that are tutored, so then we can map those outcomes to MClass. So first, we'll look at the composite change, and here we want to see the light blue beginning of year data shrink in the well below, and then the darker middle of year data grow in that at benchmark and above. So here you can see those students, we've gained about 28% proficient in overall composite change, which is great for this part of the year. Next, we'll see a little bit of our grade level breakdown. Kindergarten and second graders are making the most growth at this time, which just shows us that first and third graders are growing, but we need to still support them and intensify our supports. So that's where we're leaning into as the year continues. I spoke a little bit about Litera, but the thing that we'll really dig into next is those sub-skills, and so we're able to see that the most tutored skills in Litera thus far are phonics and word recognition, phonological and phonemic awareness, and letter knowledge, which is tied to those sub-skills here on the screen. So next, we'll take a look at those sub-skills and those gains. So we've had really great gains in the letter naming fluency, which makes sense. It's one of the most tutored skills, and we've seen about a 32% increase in students that are at benchmark. Similarly, with their phonemic awareness skills, about a 12% gain in above benchmark skills. We'll see here across the board we have about a 12% gain in correct letter sounds, about a 22% gain in words read correctly. And then word reading fluency and ORF are also very strong. We know that that is the end goal, to have fluent readers. So about 15% gain in that word reading fluency and a 7% gain at ORF, which is oral reading fluency. And on our last slide of data today, we will dig into our third graders and their oral reading fluency. So that's the end goal, right, that our third graders are proficient. And so we've been really strategizing and supporting tutors to ensure that that happens. So we've seen already a 3% gain in students that are at benchmark, and out of the roughly 100 students, about 61% of them are making at or above.
Very excited to have two principals to share their reflection. They've already been introduced, so I'll go ahead and let them have their minutes.
So speaking about the impact of tutoring on Bug Magnet Elementary School, Center for Design and Computer Sciences, Ms. Mara just gave us a comprehensive view across all of the schools. But when we look at the impact of this partnership on Bug specifically, we know that Bug is a small but mighty school. So whereas over 600 students have been utilizing this, we are currently afforded two amazing tutors, Ms. V and Ms. Solomon, who have been serving 28 students across grades K through 3. You have a breakdown there. We have 6 kinders, 7 first graders, 7 second graders, and 8 third graders who have been using our tutors since the beginning of the year. And so 89% of those students have shown an increase of over 50 points in the composite M-class score. So if you recall, Ms. Mara kind of hinted at around the 32 overall composite increase. Bug is kind of knocking that out of the park with the 50 plus points. 12 of our students have moved from well below or below proficiency to above or well above. And then 11 of our students we're celebrating because they've exited the tutoring program altogether, which is a phenomenal attribute to the tutoring and the work that they're doing with those students, and they've now exited and they're above or well above proficiency. So we couldn't do a lot of this without this partnership. As a small school, having additional personnel and staff members to pull those small groups is instrumental, because that is where we're really able to move the needle with small group instruction.
Kendall Grick, the principal of Baileywick Elementary. Baileywick is a school of 325 students, a small school for Wake County. We house the largest percentage of multilingual learners in the district, out of any school in the district. And because we have so many multilingual learners, they benefit from engaging in explicit, systematic literacy instruction. But often, because they are navigating more than one or 2 or more linguistic systems, they benefit from a second dose of that instruction. And so this tutoring program has provided that opportunity for more students, and it's had a significant impact. We have 2 tutors, and they are really ingrained in our school community. They have strong relationships with the students and the staffs. Our teachers trust them, and they trust them to work with their students. And so that is amazing. And so as a result, we've really been able to accomplish a lot. In fact, I want to tell you one quick story. We have a former tutor who was, through her work, inspired to go back to graduate school. She got her master's in ESL at NC State, and now she's a teacher at our school. So it has an even bigger impact beyond just the students, but those tutors are now inspired to become teachers in our school district. So we'll talk a little bit about the data. We have 55 students who have been impacted this year by our tutors. And we have some exciting data, especially in kindergarten. 12 of the 12 students who worked with tutors from BOI to MOI met grade level proficiency, so all of them. Okay, and now they're going on to some additional students, and we're able to allocate that resource to a different area of the school. 4 of our first grade students moved from well below to below, so they're making that progress, and 1 moved from below to above. And first grade is an area, that we have a little bit more work to do, and we've identified for that extra support that kindergarten tutor was now allocated there to provide some additional support. Our second grade students are moving as well. 3 moved from well below to below, and 2 moved to above. In third grade, we had 3 students move from well below to below. 15 total students have exited the program. So really, really nice progress, and we're continuing to engage in that momentum for the rest of the year, and are hopeful that we will have more. We will have just as good a data in the second half.
Thank you, both of you, for that celebration. So that is the end of our presentation. We definitely open the floor for any questions, feedback, or ideas. But again, want to thank publicly the partnership with NCEC, and of course our principals as well, for all that they do to make this work happen.
Absolutely. I asked my questions last, Ms. Edmonds.
Thank you. So I know that the HELPS program was a branded thing. I understand why we don't have it anymore. I remember the unfortunate, whatever, disillusion of the, whatever. My question is this reaching the same students? Is this sort of a replacement of that? Is that the right way to look at it, or?
So it's
or
actually
not?
an enhancement from HELPS.
Okay.
Some of the feedback that we constantly got from principals was that HELPS was very singular in its focus only on fluency. This program focuses on all elements of the science of reading. So it's a broader focus, looking at the school, and the principals are shaking their heads. So, okay.
Okay, perfect. And the host is DPI? Who's?
So just a brief history. So we started in 2020 as a nonprofit in partnership with the North Carolina State Board of Education and the Governor's Office as a response to the pandemic and, lost learning. And so the reason this fits so nicely in community engagement is one of our core tenets is going into the community and recruiting and finding folks that are willing to go through the 20 hours of training. And then, we screen, and then the school system can, hire the folks and work with tutoring, and we provide ongoing support services at no cost to the school system. The school system pays the salary of the tutor, but we do the initial training, and then we provide monthly support through PLCs, and our coaches meet regularly with the tutors, and they also meet regularly, with the school training. We also then can provide one-on-one support for tutors. We go into the schools and observe the tutors and provide feedback on the instruction, that they're providing. We also meet monthly with the district to review data. I mean, we dig very deep. We look student by student data. If kids are missing or absent, we want to know that so we can jump in and start to rectify. And it's really, I have to thank Wake County for their work, and they really adhere to the model of 4 or fewer students, 3 times a week, 30 minutes for 10 to 12 weeks. And we know if you follow that model with a really quality in curriculum, you're going to see movement in students. And obviously, we want to support and move them towards grade level proficiency by 3rd grade. So that's kind of a brief history and the work of who we are and what we do.
I appreciate that, thank you.
Yes, good. Dr. Joe.
Thank you very much for being here, and what a great program. I have a question and an idea, I think. The question is, are the students working with the text that the rest of the class is working in, or are there specific texts that go along with this?
Well, the district chooses the curriculum, but it is a supportive, supplemental curriculum that does support the core curriculum. I think you fly. And so, it ties nicely right in. So they're not going and getting something completely separate. It really ties into the classroom instruction.
And we've had many schools who have inquired about the possibility of utilizing the curriculum that we utilize with students. Right now, it's an NCEC exclusive curriculum, but it's UFly. It was a very minimal investment as far as the textbook, but it was a heavy lift for us as far as NCEC and WCPSS training ourselves on the curriculum and being familiar, and then, of course, providing the resources and materials that teachers and the tutors and the students need in order to implement.
And as far as recruiting tutors for this, we had a gentleman come and talk to us in the public speaking back in December about Level Up Literacy and how that faded out, or how it hadn't been renewed and everything. Is it possible to reach out to those former tutors and see if they wanted to take the training and that kind of thing?
So currently, we have a wait list with NCEC, but we definitely can reach out to those tutors. As Dr. McFarland mentioned, WCPSS pays for these 44 positions. So there will be a need to allocate additional funding because these are paid positions. And then when we did have Level Up Literacy last year when we had the HELPS transition, this particular curriculum is very intense in its implementation. Tutors, volunteer or paid, would have to commit to 3 sessions, and most of the tutors that were working with Level Up Literacy had 1 day, an hour or so of tutoring per week, and so this curriculum wouldn't translate into that particular group.
But I would say one of the strengths of the partnership is that we provide the 20 hours of initial instruction, and then we work with districts to provide that extra training on the supplemental, because each school system, they have a different curriculum that they use. So they've got to understand the science behind the curriculum and then also the specifics about the curriculum in the district.
And I'm not saying that everybody would jump on this or anything, but I feel like, especially the gentleman who came and spoke to us, he was very intensely involved with the district and was quite upset he wasn't able to help in this way anymore. So.
It has been really exciting across the state. I mean, since our inception, we have trained over 1,250 tutors. We have worked in 41 districts, and we have supported over 23,000 students. And there are many stories of tutors across the state that go back to school to get teaching license, so it really is a really, I think, phenomenal program.
And one thing I'll add is that Level Up Literacy also lives in my shop, so I'm very familiar with Level Up Literacy and those various components. And some of those tutors have reached out and have been connected with NCEC because they were interested in having a more sustainable presence in the school more than one day. But definitely appreciate the idea shared.
Ms. Gordon.
Thank you. Thank you for this presentation. And I think I have two questions. The first one is, how are the schools selected?
Wonderful question. So most of these schools, or all of these schools, either in the level 3 or level 4, according to our regional model leveling, and they have the most significant literacy needs. Definitely could be more than 14 schools if funding permitted, but 14 has been the partnership that we've had for the last few years.
Did we envision it increasing? I know I heard the budget piece. I heard that. I heard it. You said
I would say the superintendent's budget should be discussed shortly, so I would defer to leadership, but it is a wonderful. I'm sorry.
And I will also add, it's a great pipeline. I think of the tutors, about 75% of them have returned. So the folks that are being recruited and working are coming back to continue a second and third year.
Okay. And then my second question is, we are seeing, or we know that oftentimes SPED educators' caseloads are very large. So how are we using this program to meet the needs of students who have individual education plans? And are we seeing, from the principal standpoint, much success with that? Like, does that go into the selection of students? How does that work?
So I'll start by saying, and I'll let the principals answer, we do provide training to our tutors in the area of working with students with individualized education plans and multilingual learners. We do not use that as an exclusion. We use that as an asset. And then we work with the school-based team, and I'll turn it over to the principals to make sure that all the supports are provided so that the tutor and the student can be successful together. So we do have students who have IEPs and multilingual learner plans who are involved in our program.
Specifically, instruction in addition to their specially designed instruction with a special education teacher. And so we have students at our school who are multilingual learners, who have IEPs, and are getting additional support. So all of those factors are important, and having the same tutors in place for us has been critical because they know the students, they know the teachers, they collaborate very well with our ESL teacher and our special education teachers. And so they understand effective strategies for supporting those students within that tutoring environment. And if they don't, they have support from those teachers to be able to help provide suggestions and remove barriers for those students.
Oh, I'm sorry. I won't follow up. My apologies.
You're fine.
Dr. Moore Brown, this question is for you. I've heard a lot about the U-Fly curriculum. And just a point of clarity, are we providing this professional learning around the U-Fly curriculum to all staff, or is it just, okay.
Just the 44 tutors.
Is there a reason why? Because I've heard a lot of success around
So the sphere of influence that we have as far as K-12 AE and NCEC has been with this particular group. There have been conversations with the Curriculum and Instruction Enhancement Team and Elementary Regional about some of the positive feedback and results we're getting from Youth Fly. So I would say that conversation is in its infancy.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I like those questions, Ms.
Yes.
I can check some of them off my list. And, you know, since we're engaging, and if, you know, if, as we continue to be intentional about student achievement, and we're looking at new curriculum changes and all these things, and if we're seeing some things are really working, I think that some of us may agree, maybe even the ones who can count to 5, would agree that we may need to look at changing some things that actually work and produce results that we need to see in different areas and pockets. So Ms. Gordon asked some of my questions. I can check my list off. But one of the things that's important to me, as always, is that I love what we're hearing. I love to hear these results. You know, I'm a big person on 0 to 5 and then K through 3. Because we know we can change it all right there. And it will change the trajectory of Wake. It will change, or it will make us hit our target goals within our strategic plan. If we can get this, so I am one to put in a plug as well, Superintendent Taylor, around if we got a program with real results that work, and it's working, and we want to make sure that students make it to post-secondary as well as career, let's find some things that actually work, and figure out how it benefits us even through the financial pieces. So the question that I have after I said all of that, how are parents being involved with this program, and what's parents' roles in this partnership piece, outside of it just only being at the school base? How are parents involved? How are parents being taught the culture of learning, or the culture of teaching, around what you all are doing?
So I love that question. We this year implemented a literacy connection that goes home to families. So our tutors introduced themselves formally, gave their contact information just like a teacher or specialist would do. And then in addition to that, they send home reinforcement packets or reinforcement lessons that families can do with the materials. And we have had some feedback from principals and tutor leads that families are inquiring. So then that means that we then have to kind of step in because the schools are not trained, to Ms. Gordon's point earlier, on the curriculum. And so then we navigate that. But that has been an added addition because we too believe that family engagement is so important. So that is an extra element that we added this year with more intentionality.
Yeah, I think parents as the first teachers and to have meaningful roles in students' lives need to constantly have an in-classroom scholar pantry that's happening so that they can stay abreast of how to help their students. Because it's nothing like not knowing, for me as a parent. I always needed to know. It didn't matter if I didn't need to know how to teach it, but I did need to know what was going on, so that not to critique the school, but to ask my students, did you all do such and such today? So that there's accountability at school and at home, so that students can excel at their best. And I think she answered the standard criteria. You said there's a waiting list of folks to be tutored. Dr. Taylor, is a
waiting list for both people who want to tutor and potential students who can be tutored. Yes, sir.
And currently, we just have the schools that we have, and we don't have the funding to extend it to more schools. Is that where we are right now? I'll put that at Dr. Taylor. I'm not even going to put that at...
okay,
thank you. So I'm not even going to put her in the trap like that. Thank you all so very much. Any other colleagues? Ms. Cofield, Dr. Ean, Ms. Edmonds, and then Ms. Cofield and Dr. Ean. Is that okay? All right.
I just wanted to ask real quick, is this it? Is that the right, okay, that's it. It wasn't linked in the material, so I just want to make sure I was looking at the right thing.
Ms. Cofield?
Thank you. I'm sorry that I was stuck at work, but I got most of it, and if I did miss this, I will just go back and listen, so just let me know. But did you cover what the cost is as we're entering budget season, what it costs for our 44?
I will add that to that slide.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Dr. Ng? I'm sorry, Ms. Copeland, did you have anything else? I'm sorry.
No, that's it, thanks.
Okay, Dr. Ng?
Thank you. Sorry I was late. A couple of years ago, I went to Bug for their Power Scholars Academy, and some of the same similar kind of emphasis and goals and focus on early reading. And I'm really happy to see some of the same kind of concepts being used throughout the year instead of just the summer program. I mean, will there be kind of a complementary kind of a focus on that between the summer and this program?
So we have engaged in an infancy stage in conversations with our elementary regional teams and our curriculum instruction assessment team. So I would say for summer 2026, probably not, but there are conversations that have started to happen about how we can translate some of this YouFly success over in other spaces.
Thank you all so very much.
You didn't hear that. You didn't hear
I'm gonna let that slide right there. Thank you all so very much. So many more things we can continue to talk about. Good to see you, Dr. Garland, and everyone for your time. Yes, you may be. Dr. Maria Rosa Rangel is going to come and share for us in our next few moments, and then we're going to dive into our other phase so we do have enough time. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Great presentations, excellent work. Dr. Rosa Rangel.
Hello. Thank you. Well, I am here to talk about Family Academy, and I would like to introduce my Family Academy coordinator. Her name is Virginia Romero. Sit over here. Get a seat on the table, too. And she's going to share with you a folder of some of the materials that we cover. So just a little bit about what I do. I am the Director of Family and Community Engagement. We are in the Office of Equity Affairs. And the things that I do as Director of Family and Community Engagement is that I provide professional development and coaching. I also oversee the Family Academy, the Saturday School Family Academy that focuses on leadership. We're going to talk about that. And also how we engage with the community. So I'll talk about the different things that I do as Director of Family and Community Engagement. As we know, there is over 60 years of research that talks about family engagement being one of the first predictors of a child's academic success. Over 60 years of research, and which I love. And as we all know, family and community engagement is part of the district improvement plan, and also it's also part of every school improvement plan. So one of the things that I do is I go into schools and I coach schools about how can they better engage the diverse families. When we think about diverse, we quickly think about culturally diverse and linguistically diverse, but there's other components that we need to keep in mind. We have military families, we have families with students that have special needs. We have same-sex families, we have blended families, we have rural families. I mean, you could like really slice the onion and really break into many different components of what makes a family. So again, when we talk about foundations of family and community engagement, I get into the research, we get into the dual capacity framework of building school partnerships. And so it's making teachers and faculty and staff aware of why it's critical that we engage families. I also do have to understand and engage different cultures. Of course, Latino, when we look at all the subgroups, we know that Latinos are over 34,000. So there is a big need to address the needs of how do we engage these families. We also do a lot with the South Asian Indian families. As you know, Apex, West Apex, Holly Springs, Fuquay, Wendell, it's predominantly changing. The demographics are changing. So we support all the schools, but how do we better engage and understand the culture of these families? We also do the Arabic immigrant families as well as multilingual families. We do Spanish for educators. A lot of principals and assistant principals and teachers and even clerical want to learn the Spanish that they can utilize to break the ice so the families feel that they belong. And that's been great. It's been a great success teaching those classes. So what is the Family Academy? It's basically an initiative, again, from the Office of Equity Affairs. It's basically providing free workshops for parents and caregivers. And you have in your folder a booklet that we have 25 different workshops, plus we have 2 for multilingual families, and we have the description, so basically, the schools can pick and choose what they need, and all they have to do is email us the request. Virginia will put it in our calendar. We have a very busy calendar of the topics, the languages, the time, location. Is it going to be virtual? Is it going to be face-to-face? What languages are going to be needed? So we do a lot of planning and behind the scenes of how to structure that. And of course, we make them very convenient, and we offer them anywhere. When I tell you everywhere, we've done in parking lots, we go into the communities, we go to churches, we go to schools, we go everywhere we are invited. And just to ensure accessibility, we do them in the top 7 languages, but in 2015, 2016, we added English, because we discovered that our English parents also need to understand how to support their kids academically. So that's been a great success. And of course, when you think about the top 7 languages, we do the top 7 languages that we also do interpreting and translation services for, which is, I don't have to tell you, it's Spanish, Arabic, English, French, Hindi, Korean, Mandarin, Spanish, and Vietnamese. So of course, again, we do them everywhere we are invited. So what is the objective? Obviously, it is to empower families with the essential academic resources that they need. We have a lot of parents that don't even understand how to engage. They don't even understand that I can engage, or don't even understand that I must engage. And again, you got to look at your demographics. Where are your parents coming from? Because that's going to tell you a lot about engagement that you might have or you might not have. And also, one thing that I always tell school is, do you have a lot of families that come from urban or rural? As you know, we bus kids from all over. And again, that's going to dictate the level of engagement of your school. And again, what we really want is for parents to understand how to support their kids academically. Of course, our goal is to forge strong partnerships that bring together the schools, the parents, the caregivers, everybody together, and the community. We cannot take for granted that the community is such an essential piece of how to engage. It truly takes a whole village to support families and engage families. And businesses, my God, they donate so many resources, gift cards. They could come and talk to the students about what they do, nonprofits. And again, I think what Brooksy did is wonderful. She mapped all the nonprofits. So again, that makes it easy for the school to find out what's available in my community and bring those nonprofits, those businesses into the school. So the Family Academy program, just to give you an idea of 2025-26, we do schools workshops, we go everywhere, elementary, middle, high schools. We also do 6 community locations. We have the St. Raphael Church Family Resource Center, Familias Fiesta, El Centro Hispano. We do a lot with the refugee and immigrant services, and we do those in different languages. We also are in the White Plains United Methodist Church. So we go into those 6 areas, those 6 locations, churches, nonprofits. And because they already have families that feel comfortable there, to go there, so it's easier for us to go there, right? Community outreach, we try to be out, visible everywhere we go. We set up a booth. We also do our own resource, we call them resource fairs at schools. And I'm going to show you what that data looks like in a minute. But again, we also do Facebook workshops in 8 different languages, including English. I have to tell you that last year, they closed our Facebook page because a lot of the things that we did was about equity, diversity, and inclusion, and we know what happened. So they closed our Facebook page, but we opened another one, and we are getting momentum. We're getting a lot of families that visit our Facebook page. And everything that we hear in the community about resources or events, we put them through our Facebook. Same thing with what is happening here. We're getting ready to do a big push for the Family Engagement Summit that's coming up on the 21st. So, in fact, I think after this, we're going to start doing how we're going to market this so that our multilingual families could also come and take advantage of this big summit. So, of course, we had the Saturday. We got 2 Saturdays in there. Saturday school and ESL at Carver Elementary. This is our 2nd year that we are doing the Saturday Family School, and we focus on literacy. kindergarten to 5th grade. And we just focused on the science of reading, phonetics awareness, letter recognition, everything to support the reading comprehension of our students. And last year we did it for the first time. It was a great success. We did it at Southeast. But because of parking situations, that parking gets so crazy busy on Saturdays, it made it very impossible for our parents to come and park, so we moved it. Carver Elementary was very interested in hosting us. So right now we have 112 students and 112 families that come that come every Saturday. While we tutor the students, the parents don't just drop off their kids and leave. No, they stay there. And they have two choices. Either they're going to be attending parent workshop where we teach them the literacy, the science of reading, how to motivate the child. I mean, we actually have them tell us what is it that they want to learn. And according to that, we tailor the presentations. So while the parents are being, again, they're being educated on how to utilize all these resources, the students are getting literacy support, but then the other parents have the other option of also attending ESL classes, where we are teaching them the English language to communicate in the school. Like, I'm here to pick up my daughter who's sick, or my daughter has a doctor appointment, or how can I schedule a meeting? So little things like that might not mean a lot to us, but it means a lot to those parents to be able to communicate with the school. So just a little data, just to give you an idea. In 2024-25, we reached 28,290 parents and caregivers. We did 434 workshops. And this is just to give you an idea. We started collecting data in 2015, 2016, and you can see how we have gone up. But in 2023 is when we came back from COVID, right? And that year, a lot of the schools just wanted to get the parents back in the routine, back into the daily life, back to just sending your kids to school. There was still a lot of, I'm afraid. So of course, we didn't do as much as we wanted to, but then of course in 2023, we really went up. And then in 2024-25, we really went up, reaching families. When we are in the community, it's not just about the Family Academy, it's about the whole district. They ask us questions like, what is the Magnet program? When is the application process? What about transfer? What about this? What about that? So we always give them, here are the numbers, here are the contacts, here are the people that you need to get a hold of. So again, this is just a little data just to give you an idea. I want you to think about this. In elementary, we did 139 workshops, right? Look at how many parents were English speakers compared to Spanish speakers. And we only had 8 Arabic speakers. But again, that's just in elementary. When you go into middle school, we did 40 workshops. And we know from research across the nation, as parents become more engaged, obviously when they're very engaged in elementary, but then in middle and high school, what happens? It goes down. But truly, I think they need us more. And they need us in elementary, but being a mom, I know that my baby needed me in middle, and he definitely needed me more in high school. And he still needs me, right? So again, just to give you an idea, and then look at how many English-speaking parents we did in middle school compared to Spanish speakers, of course, Arabic. And basically, when you look at the data, that's English, Spanish, Arabic, right? And then when you look at the high school, 50 workshops, it was, 997 English speakers compared to 267 Spanish speakers. So again, this is just to give you an idea of that data. And then, of course, we go into the Facebook page. And, of course, we still had, these are the different languages. And this is how many workshops we did and this is the 6 community organizations. Okay, I get confused. The 6 organizations. And how many workshops we did, right? We did 42 workshops in English. How many parents we reached. In Spanish, obviously, 41, which was more. But we reached 600 families. And then, of course, we did in Swahili, because we work with the U.S. Refugee Agency, and they wanted us to really focus on their Swahili families from Africa, so we did, and obviously Arabic too. And then the Facebook page. That was when we were very active. We have more than 5,000 followers. So people knew if they missed a workshop, we will offer the workshop in all those different languages. So if you wanted to know something, a workshop in one language, you will see it in all the different languages. And the beauty about Facebook is that you could archive some of those videos. So they stay there for a little bit and then we take them down. Again, we were in the community and we reached a lot of folks. We were in 23 fairs in the community, and then of course we also were in 29 schools where we had booths and information. And again, we reached a lot of parents, just giving them a lot of information about Wake County Public Schools. So in this year, just to give you an idea, we've been in 118 workshops so far. And again, look at the data, 894 English parents have attended, 177 Spanish speakers. We have done 24 booths in the elementary school. We have engaged with 2,065 parents. Then in middle school is 50. And again, you look at the data, 887 English speakers, 216 Spanish speakers. And then face booths, we have done 2. We engaged with 315 parents. In the high school, we have already done 9 workshops so far. And of course, only 6 English parents showed up, 48 Spanish. But you know what, it doesn't matter, even if one parent shows up, if we could change that parent's mentality and mindset about education, we have done a lot. And again, parents, we always tell them, please share what you learn and share it with other families. So then, Facebook booths, we have been in 4, and we have engaged with 155 parents, and then we've been in the community, we've done 57 workshops. And again, and this one is for 23 Spanish speakers and 59 English speakers. And we've been in the community, 16 booths we've done so far, and we reached 2,590 parents. And then, of course, the Saturday school, we have 220 English speakers attended. They have attended, and then 158 Spanish speakers. And then, of course, Facebook page is a little slow because we lost followers, but we are trying to get them back. So right now we have done 248 workshops, and this is what we have reached. We saw a big decline because of ICE. Parents are not coming, they're petrified. We canceled more than 20 workshops during those 2 difficult weeks, and also we canceled like 10 or 12 workshops during the weather. So that affected us, but we still have so many to go. This is just from July to February. And right now we are booked all the way till May 31st. We try not to do much in June because we collect data and we have to do reports. So May 31st, it's good because we also have the Saturday school where we celebrate the students, we do a graduation, and I hope that you guys can join us on a Saturday when we graduate our parents and students from attending the Beverly Academy on Saturdays. So this is our contact, so in case you need us. So now, questions, concerns, ahas?
Ms. Edmonds?
Can you repeat about the Saturday graduation?
So we're going to graduate the students that attended have been attending.
Saturday school? Yeah. When do you do that? I mean, roughly, not a date, but.
Towards the end of May, so last Saturday in May.
Okay, thank you.
Yes?
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Manager.
2 questions. One, you mentioned in the very first slide, Spanish for educators. How many educators take that?
Oh my God, it is the most requested workshop. I have to hide because I get so booked up with, I do a lot of also professional development for the Office of Equity Affairs. I'm working with Central Services, the principal, so yeah, I get a lot of people that participate. What I've done so far is I do it per school, and I tell them, you gotta give me 25 teachers for me to come to your school.
Right.
And I always get like 30 or 40, which is great.
That is great.
That's one thing that I have not tracked, and that's something that we started to do, like tracking how many educators we have trained so far, because it's been a lot, thousands of them.
The other thing, I guess this is more of a comment, back to the idea that the parents didn't want to come because of ICE. Has there been a discussion about moving the Facebook, workshops to another source? Because my first concern when I saw that is that Meta is now cooperating with DHS and handing over user data and stuff, and I'm worried that we're basically doing a target of like, hey, look at all the people who attended this Arabic speaking class or whatever, and
we thought about that, but because we do it in all different languages, it's been okay. And we are very careful about not using DEI in there, making it very generic.
Right, but it still says this is an Arabic-speaking workshop for parents. So it basically, anybody who goes and views that is going to be targeted as someone
No,
who...
it just says Arabic.
Okay,
I put it in there for our data.
okay.
But I use, actually it's supposed to be Arabic-speaking parents.
Right, exactly. Okay.
I mean, I understand the
Yeah.
question. It ultimately is if we try and change the format from in-person to online to try and mitigate, is there
Yes.
a possibility that an agency will look and have data and information on these
Because I mean, the title of the workshop might be, family engage, or how to, talk to the teachers about something, and then you have it listed as being in Spanish, then anybody who clicks on that could be on a list of Spanish-speaking parents that ICE could target.
I see that a little difficult here. I see where you're going with this, but I find that really hard to do. But we try to do face-to-face stuff.
Right, but it could be hosted on the WCPS website or something other than
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Facebook.
And maybe that's something that we could work with Lisa.
We do post the Family Academies on the current website, and we share it with our families in our family newsletter.
But you're talking about the workshops, like to house them in our website.
Instead of on Facebook.
Archive,
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, we could do that. And I like that. I like what you're going with that. I like that.
I just don't trust Facebook.
Especially the way they're using AI right now
Right.
yeah, I hear you.
But I'm going to add, on Facebook, we mostly post videos about our workshop. All the workshop that you see here, we post a video. So family can see the video and have the information in their home. They don't have to go anywhere.
But if you did that on the school website, that would be the same thing without giving metadata about the
Yeah,
viewer.
that's what you're talking about, giving them the data, yeah. But I like that. Thank you for that.
Dr. Ms. Gordon. Yes, Doctor.
Been promoted.
Thank you. Thank you for this. I know you all are super, super busy. I did hear that you mentioned that schools are able to request workshops. Is there a required number of academy workshop per school?
No, so far, no. In fact, some schools are so smart, but they do come actually May or June. They're already sending us email and said, I want 9 workshops. And these are the dates, these are the titles, which we like that because it helps us to stay coordinated and also it helps us to know exactly. So I hire a lot of teachers to do my parent trainings and we train them. So if we know that all these requests are coming, it gives me an idea of we need to hire more trainers. And, but no, so far we're doing good.
Are we seeing a consistent, is it safe to say that every school in the district has requested?
No.
You cannot say that.
I could only provide services. I cannot dictate to the principal to.
Right, I understand.
Right. But everybody knows it because what we spend a lot of time at the beginning of the school year is making sure that social workers, counselors, assistant principals, ESL teachers get this brochure. They get an email, individual email, and then we also send it to the schools, a hard copy.
In a poster.
And we have a poster that has everything. So in your folder, this goes to the families, just QR codes, and also has the Bitly because not every family's phone can access QR code. So this goes out to all the families, and they're able to see what's available. We also do
We send this poster to all the schools, elementary, middle, high school, traditional calendar, year-round, everybody. So they can
See it.
set the poster in, the place that is more convenient to the families.
But I would love for all the schools to utilize us, but some schools know about us and they really use us, which is fine.
So as well, what we can do is have staff to go back and talk about the percentage of schools that have reached out and engaged with them. Now, obviously, there got to be some schools that engage in community events not through them, and so that, that may not necessarily be a reflection of who's doing it and who's not doing it. And Dr. Burton, I know you're in the room, and you may want to add some thought about family and community engagement as a part of Title I requirement, because those schools are required to do, as you probably know. But we can certainly go back and talk about who's engaging here.
We do have the data, and I have to tell you that we do support Title I a lot. In fact, they are our priority. Even sometimes, let's say we have 20 schools requesting on the same day. Even if I have to go out there or Regina has to go to do it, we will never say no to, especially in Title I school. We will have someone to do the trainings. But yeah.
Is there any specific data that you would like for us to bring back?
Well, yes, I would like to see the data on Title I schools and how they are utilizing the academies. But I also would like, my follow-up question was about school improvement plans. How are we utilizing the workshops and the Family Academy as a part of the school improvement plans specifically for Title I?
So.
And then if I can add to that, because we've got one more piece to do. Where are these workshops? What regions are these workshops in?
Everywhere.
So can we let Dr. Burton respond to that question?
Yes, Ms. Gordon, I will just say that to Dr. Taylor's point, the law requires in Title I funded schools that we do family and community engagement a certain way, focusing on linking to learning. All the research tells us that if we have families in our buildings and we don't take the opportunity to help their scholars at home, then that is a missed opportunity. Right. So in Title I funded schools, we're doing that work. In my department, we have a dedicated family and community engagement coordinator who helps our schools leaders to plan those events. So again, they're aligned to the research linking to learning. Though there is no specific requirement federally for how many they have to have, to answer your question about school improvement, when our school leaders invite support from my team, they have to complete a prior approval form. And on that form, they must say what the NC STAR school improvement indicator is that particular event is going to align to. Okay. So in Title I, we are very tight with ensuring that work is aligned to school improvement and the school improvement indicator specifically for family and community engagement. If that helps.
That makes sense, yes. Thank you.
Ms. Cofield.
Thank you. You mentioned that you had some information online for families, but they also attended on Saturdays. I'm trying to tie it together, and then you said that you had thousands of educators that were interested in the program, that you're kind of, it sounds like a little inundated with how much you could put out. Is this something that is online for them to kind of like self-navigate through, or how does that work? Is there like a cost? Do we have professional developers? Okay, so.
For the Spanish one.
Yeah, and because just our educators in particular is what I was referring to.
Right.
Do they have the opportunity to go online and kind of self-direct through this?
Mm-hmm.
So they have to attend the Saturday. Okay.
So there's two things. I think there's two things. We have the Saturday school for students and parents. And for that, for those parents and those students, they have to attend face-to-face.
Mm-hmm.
The professional development that I do with the Spanish, it's separate. So I support the schools with professional development. I also do it district-wide. Is that what I do?
Yeah, I was just wondering if our teachers had the opportunity to kind of self-direct through online access.
No. Spanish, I like to do it face-to-face. Okay. I've done some virtually, but I think face-to-face, it helps me because I'm working on the pronunciation. It's interactive. You know, you could turn off your camera and I don't even see what you're doing. But I like to give feedback as a teacher. That's a teacher in me, right? But no, that one I have to have face-to-face.
Which is great. You know, I think a lot of people learn in person much better than online. I was just thinking like just the hours that teachers put in to now take a Saturday to have to do that. If there was some kind of virtual thing for them to follow, it might give them more opportunity to take
Actually,
advantage.
the professional development, I do it anytime they want me to go. Usually it's before school, after school.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes it's during their professional development day, I done that, where I go there for 3 hours, or I do 10 hours during the semester.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Edmonds.
Just very quickly, talking to Ms. Gordon's point about schools, may or may not reach out. So ironically, Maria Rosa presented at my BAC last night. And the way that I view that is that I've got 19 schools, and the PTA leadership that was there, just as an example, if their principal, I certainly didn't survey who's invited and who hasn't, but my hope is the PTA leadership there, learning about Family Academy, could be like, hey, Principal Gordon, have you asked them to come, so just, I encourage you all to have them at your BAC. I had no idea she was presenting today, it was just a coincidence. Yes.
Yeah, I just had, just a follow-up for me, and I know we've got to move on because I wanted us to finish in a good wellness style 15 minutes prior so that we have space to move forward. But I noticed on some of your slides when we talked about locations, and so that's the reason why I asked. I know you said we're everywhere, but I'm looking at the locations and where your community workshops are and trying to, that's what I mean with the geographic locations. How are you choosing your locations of where you're going to go? Because we need more. I don't see this as district-wide when it comes to locations. And then when I look at your other data I see that, and I'm trying to see what was how did you choose, and I know we have to move forward, but, and this can be an offline question that you can send me an answer to, but I'm looking at workshops and stuff like that, but I'm seeing why only 14 workshops, but 41 workshops, and what was the difference between that, or what sparked it to be those differences between that. So what I would like to know is how do we expand the workshops to be, what caused the workshops to be so disproportionate between the amount of workshops that we have and who is being presented to, locations about where our family academies are. And I say this simply because of course, I've been here since the infancy of family academies. I began these academies in the eastern region of Wake County, and Derek Bird and I from Family Resource Center started these academies first and watched them grow to something amazing that you've done within Wake County Public Schools. And so my concern is, from where I know where we began with certain origins to help families understand how to maneuver through our system, I've noticed a drastic change in populations, in families being reached. I think we've done a great job with expanding it to where it needs to go. I'm just wondering, are we still reaching the families of origin that we began with, or have we completely shifted from that because it's not causing for that anymore? We feel those gaps, we've met those needs, and so I want to make sure that families who really do need this valuable information and these workshops that you have are really being shown that this information is here, and make sure that they can still get it. So that was just it. We can get that in a follow-up in an email or something. It looks like Dr. Ng is shaking his head. I don't know if he has something to add.
I had a similar question about location. I see, I'm in the northern region, so I'm kind of looking at, so St. Raphael seems like the big center for the community.
I could answer real quick. We go where we are wanted, and these sites want us. We have gone and asked different nonprofits, can we do this? This is free. And they say no. So if you could connect me to an agency or faith church that would allow us to go there, and they could set the time, they could tell us when, where, the language, and we'll be there.
Right. Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dr. Ng, you have something else to say? Okay, I thank you for saying that. We don't have Dr. Sturdivant here today, but we have an internal list of a lot of partners that we have, and so we're going to see what that looks like and see what those barriers are. I know that some of the same spaces that we did this in the beginning are still there and are still looking for that. So I'm trying to figure out what happened, what was the disconnect, that we were no longer in those spaces and presentations where it was just done in community versus a space. But that's all the time that we have for our family academies and our district sharing for today. We definitely want to move into our next piece. We only have about 20 minutes for that or less. Thank you all for your amazing presentation and for sharing such great information for parents, and we'll encourage the district to reach out to you all as principals to see the numerous workshops that you have that's supporting our families across the district. This is amazing. Thank you. 25 different workshops. That's great. Grown tremendously. Next we have, I'm going to pass out this, Dr. Ng, I'm going to take one and I'll pass it down to you and pass it Dr. Robinson. Don't get me Dr. Robinson, oh my goodness. Listen, we want to continue to foster confidence by deepening trust and transparency with our families and community stakeholders. And so there was this, it was important to me as community engagement to make sure that we have welcoming atmospheres within our school district. And so I had to do a little bit of dive and shared some information that I just passed to you of some levels of framework that I found from out of Ohio State University. There's so many other things that we can do, but I've asked Dr. Robinson to share with us some possible protocols for our board members so that we can discuss how we would like to promote welcoming atmosphere. So this is just an example of what's going on at another school district and out of Ohio State University and things of that nature. And so I'm going to turn over to Dr. Robinson to share with us how we really can deepen trust and foster this confidence within our community to share. So he's waiting and looking. I'm sorry I've given you such a short amount of time to be able to do this and share with us that you have for us. But Dr. Robinson, please show us how we can create some welcoming atmospheres across our schools.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to
increase welcoming atmospheres. We have, but we want to deepen it.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity to engage. In speaking with Committee Chair Rice, she shared this information with me and wanted to get this information in front of you so that you guys can engage in a discussion about what can be done or how can this work move forward within our district and how the board can be engaged in it as well. The one thing that I will share with you is when I first became a principal in another district, the first thing that I did on my first couple of days, I said I wanted to go visit every school within the particular region that I was in, and I wanted to feel, what do you feel when you walk into a building? And when you walk into a building, even in Wake County, as an area superintendent, as a board member, as a superintendent, as anybody, every school has a feel to it. And what does that feel look like? Is that feel a warm and welcoming environment? And if it is not, what do we do to change it? And so one of the things that I want to just walk you through is just your own self-reflection. And if you can engage with me for at least 5 to 10 minutes, we can come together as a group to really create an idea of what that would look like. On the table, you have the pads that are there. You have pencils that are there as well. I would ask you to have something to write on. And then I just want to walk you through a couple of prompts, and then let's engage in conversation of what that looks like. So think about a place where you feel welcome. Come up with adjectives to describe that place. Think about a place where you feel welcome, and come up with a couple of adjectives. Let's just say 3. 3 adjectives that describes that place.
Welcoming or comfortable?
Welcome. right, I see pencils going down, pen going down. So Dr. Cho, you was first to finish, so. So, share with us a place where you feel welcome, and then share those 3 adjectives that you have to describe that place.
So I know the idea was probably to not think of a school, but actually, my kids, Farmington Woods Elementary, but wait, before 9:15 in the morning. So between 8:45 and 9:15. It's a whole different situation once those doors close. But when they're welcome, when the school is open and you walk in, like, teachers, and this was before I was a board member, it's not because I was a board member, but teachers like know me even though they don't have my kid. Like, you get welcomed by name, your kid gets welcomed by name. You know, I said warm, personal, and invited. Like people, you know, the teachers are standing outside their classroom and they're smiling at you, and they like, everybody seems to know everybody. It feels very much like a community, and you just leave there with a smile on your face.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing. Ms. Caulfield.
I had inviting, bright or happy, and engaging.
And what place is that?
What place is that? If you're going to talk about a happy place, it's going to be the beach, but.
No, I think they were looking for someone that wasn't in school.
Absolutely, sounds good. Thank you for sharing. Ms. Edmonds?
I didn't come up with a place, but I wrote bright, light, colorful, and friendly.
Bright, colorful, and friendly. Thank you for sharing that as well. Dr. Ian?
I actually thought of a church.
Okay.
Some place a place where they greet you by name, a place where you feel you fit in, and a place that does not judge.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that as well. Ms. Gordon?
I would have to say my youngest son's school, Partnership Elementary. I feel like every time I walk in there, I was blown away by the very first time we came. They learned his name, and probably within the first week, they greeted him in the morning. The principal is at carpool every morning, and in the afternoon, teachers are calling him by his first name. So I would say a place that is personable, like Ms. Edmonds said, somewhere that's bright, colorful. I think that's the elementary educator in me.
You feel welcome, right? It is because it's smiling faces, they greet you, they acknowledge you, and you feel like you belong, right? You drive up, first of all, you're going in a whole sheltered space, so no matter what the weather is, you're always covered. And the moment that you pull in there is someone coming over with their iPad to greet you, and they kind of know where it is. And just like I say, and they'll say, "Oh, Miss Wright," well, I come too often, but because I get a car wash every week. Miss Wright, so they already know. And so, and then it's just a nice place. Got your snacks, you got everything.
So you just shared why that welcome environment is important. It's about how it makes you feel. How it makes you feel when you walk into those spaces and what those spaces look like. One of the things that I would ask you to think about, what are the adjectives to explain a place that is not welcoming? Now, when you respond to this, I do want you to know and understand that we have a lot of constituents and principals listening. And so I would love for you to share those thoughts as well. Instead of just what makes you feel welcoming, what makes you not feel welcome? And let's just do a round robin real quick and just share a couple of thoughts. Who would like to start?
Okay.
Yes.
As a parent, seeing I know that because, there are a lot of security issues that we deal with as a district, but seeing a QR code posted on a window with written directions on how to sign out a child early, or if a child comes late. A lot of times those directions are only in English. So the one-sided approach to language, I feel like there's a disconnect between knowing the people in which our schools serve,
because I also understand that there is a safety precaution that we are trying to make sure that we are adhering to. But I feel like there is a middle place that we can situate ourselves so that we are not, so that some schools don't come off as like off-putting.
Being very sterile.
Right. Yes, that's a great
Thank you.
Ashton.
Yes, ma'am.
I think whenever you encounter any sort of gatekeeping, it's going to make you feel unwelcome. The locked door and having to ring a bell, like you were saying before, you're covered. Like most of the schools have, shelter or whatever outside the front door. But but I just encountered one actually the other day that if you're out in the rain or cold or whatever, and so anytime you have to go get past a gatekeep of some sort, a person, that has to sign you in. It's a sign of they don't know who you are, we have to verify that you belong here, and that's going to make you feel unwelcome. Now, there are ways to overcome that. I mean, my second place was going to be my temple, and because of issues with a lot of stuff in society, we have a locked door. I mean, you don't get to just walk into a temple like you can in a church, because we have security concerns that a lot of churches don't have. And so, but there's always someone posted there that welcomes you and says your name and like gets you right in and all that. And even if they don't know you, they say, "Oh, are you here as a guest?" And and what can I do for you? And you can still overcome that locked door, but it takes work.
Thank you for sharing that as well, because we talked about two things: the QR code, locked door, even though it's necessary. How do we overcome it? Because we can. Even to have welcoming posting. Can I get a couple more thoughts before we move on? Yes, sir.
Going back to the church, my personal experience, if I drop off my child at the church and I come back to pick my child up and there's a piece of paper in her mouth, that leaves a very negative first impression. If I'm visiting a church and I come back and my child has a piece of paper in her mouth, so the point of it is, we often have first impression of a place based on something, and it could be very good, it could be very bad, and our children are perhaps the most important part of our life, and we're going to leave our children under the care of this church, playgroup, and if I come back and it's like, what happened? Right. And so that is something that it rings true to me.
No. Thank you for sharing that as well.
I think for me, it's when even once you get past the barriers of the doors. For me, it's when you're not acknowledged. It's when everybody will be walking through the office and you'll speak to everybody else that's coming in there, but you don't acknowledge the parent that just walked in the door. Or you just to simply say hello. Or if you were tied up at the moment, it's the simple things like you're at a restaurant and they're really busy and someone else walks in the door. But doesn't it always make you feel great when they're really busy and they hear the door open and they'll say, "Welcome to whatever, we'll be right with you." Right, it's the fact you acknowledged me. And with a reasonable thinking person recognizes that you're really busy, but you acknowledge me, which means you did not take me as being invisible. And so to me, it's just the acknowledgement.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Before I go on, would either of you like to share anything?
I had either not heard or seen, but I think acknowledgement is more the word for it. I thought of I am not a fast food person. Anybody that knows me knows that. But when everybody knows when you go to Chick-fil-A, my pleasure. When you go to Mod Pizza, hey, how are you? Like you know that you are seen, and they're busy doing something else, and you know that they do it to everybody else. But either way, it just kind of lifts you up a little bit that you're on the right foot to start. And I said it just kind of leaves you with that cold feeling that people are more stuck on the process than they are on the effectiveness.
I like that.
Mine was similar to Ms. Rice.
Okay. Acknowledge. So when we think about our schools are made up of many different communities. And as you think about welcoming environments in our schools and across our communities that you serve, what school communities should keep in mind? And we're talking about that as we speak. And so those are the things that are very important. We can sit here and talk about what are the attributes of a welcoming atmosphere. We know that why is it important and who benefits from it. And we definitely believe everybody benefits from it. And so the expectations upon a welcoming environment really focuses on the physical environment, practices and policies, personal interactions, written materials, and communications. And these are the 4 components as the 4 components are clearly defined. Again, you have those in your package, so I don't need to read that to you verbatim. But again, the committee chair asked us to bring this so that the board can engage in conversation to really think about, is this something that you as a board really want to bring to the forefront, and have a conversation about how we engage in this work and what expectations would the board have for the superintendent and for staff to really focus on 4 components of a welcoming environment. And so that is a portion of what we just wanted to share. And so you have all the information, you can read through it. And so Committee Chair Rice, I turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Robinson. Just before we close out, just wondering, what are our thoughts around a conversation around this and deepening more into it? How do we engage Superintendent Taylor with knowing where our schools are? Because we all have different experiences. Some of our schools do this exceptionally well. And some of our schools need a little support with that. And it's my thought process as the community engagement chair is that every school in Wake County should be an engaging school, should be a welcoming school. And I don't want our schools to miss that opportunity of a person who has the ability to bring something great to our schools, but missed an opportunity for positive engagement to change their minds. I want us to be the first choice for public education every time. And I think these are some small things we can do with helping those who may not meet that mark. I think we just heard, 6 of us here, at least 2 of us have these great experiences as an automatic place of where you felt welcome. And so my heart's intent around this is to make sure that all 204 of our schools, without exception, are just welcoming places, that Wake County just has the ingrained embeddedness of culture that you should send your child to Wake County schools, because they're like Chick-fil-A. I mean, when you walk in the door, even though the sign is there, but that reception person is nice, the signs don't say stop, they say welcome. But please sign in the front office so that we can protect your security and our students, things like that. So certain things, I believe, has been a native in Wake and have gone through Wake schools, 3 generations of my family, myself, my children, and my grandchildren. I think I have a lens or a snapshot of what we can continue to keep improving and doing better. Ms. Gordon, I saw your hand go up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, as a part of our my BAC meeting that I had back in October, we talked a lot about the learning model. And I think there's a lot of opportunity there for us to use that as like the standard, but not so much on like the academic piece. But if we were to ask parents in a building, how does my school see me as a parent or as a family? How does my school challenge me as a parent? How am I engaged in what goes on here at the school? And then how does my school like really know me? Mm-hmm. Like, does the principal know that I also have a senior and a middle schooler? Does the principal know, just various things, like how well are we engaging with our families in that way from the learning model standpoint?
Mm-hmm. Dr. Joe?
I think there are 2 things we probably need to bring to this conversation when we further it. One is that I think we need to even back up a little further than what the questions you were asking and ask like how the school even views them from the school's point of view. Mm-hmm. Because I think some people think of this situation almost as coming in as neutral, and you either make the parent feel good or bad. Mm-hmm. But we have to remember that one of the communities we never talk about is the community of people who had a terrible school experience. And there are a lot of them whose schools were places where they failed, where, I mean, my poor little sister, like when she used to visit me when I was if I was teaching and meet me for something, she'd get like panicky walking into a high school she didn't go to because high school was a terrible experience for her. And we have to remember that a lot of parents are coming and they didn't love school like we did, and so we need to start from there and encourage instead of just like people coming in with a neutral view of the school. The second thing I think we're going to have to talk about too is especially that receptionist as the front-facing person is what their workload looks like. Because if we, I said about how like the school I was talking about, like at 9:15 it totally changes, and I think a lot of it is that if they're overloaded and harried and are trying to juggle 18 things, and then a parent rings the doorbell and they're like, what? Because they can't think of one more thing. And that has not happened, but I'm just saying, I have definitely like rang other school bells where it's like, yes, can I help you? And you don't want to walk into that school then, but that's not even that person's fault, and 90% of the time she or he is a very nice person.
Right.
But they just are so overwhelmed with all kinds of other duties that they don't even have the bandwidth to be the welcoming person we need them to be.
Absolutely. Dr. Robinson?
So let me say this. Thank you for that, Dr. Joe, because one of the things I always want every school to recognize is the difference between a singular event, and you come in and it was just that particular day, I just went, what? Versus what's systemic. And I think there's a huge difference between knowing what those are. And so it is about how a school, in many cases, will have to do a self-assessment of, well, what are we really? And then be able to determine, is that us? Or is it a singular event that may capture certainly? So I appreciate you saying that, Dr. Rob.
One of the things I was going to highlight exactly what Superintendent Taylor said as well, but you brought up a great point about the trauma that a lot of parents bring to schools. And I'm a math teacher, and I taught everything from geometry to AP, calculus, and all. And the first thing people say is, oh, I can't stand math, don't talk to me about math. Well, that same mindset is when they have that trauma and they come into buildings, they really don't want to engage. They want to do what they need to do and get out, and we have to find a way to mitigate that as well. And I'm really excited about the conversation that we're having because I know, as I share with you, principals are going to be listening. And some of the things that you're saying are going to trigger thoughts, which is going to cause them to self-evaluate some of the things in their building. And if they do one thing, is if they go to the front and they look at the QR code to see if they have it in their languages, and if they have a message that says, although the door is locked, welcome. We're happy that you're here. Somebody will be with you shortly. I think we can definitely move this work forward.
I think I'm thankful for everybody that wanted to participate in this conversation. One second, Mr. Gordon. What I will ask Dr. Robinson is, I love everything that we bring to the board, our strategic plan, our policies, or whatever our superintendent brings to make us better. I take those things in and think about them. One of the things that I would like to see that we can do, since we have Chief Luton in here and Superintendent Taylor, at your leisure, if you would approve this in some way, you brought to us, and I literally keep this on my phone, and that is the learning model, right? Because you said this is who we're supposed to be. What I am curious to find out is, what do families think we are? And if there is the survey, and the survey is very simple, the columns and stuff are already laid here, and we're only asking these questions basically as a school, and our goal is to reach that learning organization and to ask parents truthfully, do you see your school as a service delivery model, a factory, a warehouse, or a prison? And then that helps us grow to where we can identify our customers see us as, because all great businesses, organizations do this. What do our people see us as to really determine data-wise how well are we serving them? And if they see us as that partners, members of a school community, if they see us as that real learning organization model, then we've done our job, and we can say, okay, next conversation. We don't need to continue that anymore, right? But what's the data that we have to show that we are really reaching that members, partners and members of a school community as that learning organization? Dr. Taylor is going to close us out.
Yeah, so I'll end with this, that I know this is one of the most important things that we're going to face as public schools, because we, like many public institutions, are under attack, and we're made out to be something that's bad or something that's not good. And so I think it is incumbent upon us to be conscious of what people think about us, but also how we work to change that narrative. And so that's something I think is very particular and specific to public schools, because we're not the only business in town, and quite often we're going to be characterized as something that we're not. That's something that I know all public schools have to really engage in. And I'm reading this book called The End of Public Schools. Can you believe that? And it's talking about these different things that are affecting public schools. But I do think that image is a big part of that. And so when we think about locked doors, we had a recent incident at an elementary school, and it was because of the locked door that the person couldn't get in. So I think, as Ms. Gordon said, most people are going to appreciate and understand that, but it is about what we do beyond what's on the surface. And I'll just end again with what Dr. Jobe said, and I want to go back to this. It is about how people have felt about public schools, because while I had a great school experience, there were students that had terrible experiences, particularly when schools went from segregated to integrated, and what parents thought and felt. And I was able to see that even as a young kid, but we have to remember that those kinds of things can be generational. That imagine if it were me, and then how I felt when my kids were there, and how they may feel. So it's about how we break that cycle. But we look forward to continuing the conversation and hoping that all schools do those self-assessments even before we have to instruct them to do it, and how they can become better places that parents want to be and where they want to send their children.
I appreciate that, Dr. Taylor. Hopefully we can get that together and before our May 14th meeting, just that short little survey to ask people what they think. Before we close out, we did not get to approve our October 14th minutes. I'm trying to see if I can get a motion to approve our minutes for October 14th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second. If I can get a show of a vote of all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right, thank you so very much. The motion is carried to approve our minutes from October 14th, and it also closes out our meeting. Thank you.